Title: I took a paternity test as a joke, and I regret it. Part 1/3. So, I guess I should start this with a warning. If you ever get one of those dumb ideas that begins with the words, "Wouldn't it be funny if..." Don't. That's how I ended up here, typing this mess out on Reddit instead of sleeping like a normal human being. Anyway, here's the story. The dumb joke that started everything. For context, I, 31M, have been with my girlfriend, Emily, 29F, for almost 5 years now. She's incredible, funny, sarcastic in the best way, drinks her coffee like it's a blood type, and somehow puts up with my inability to fold laundry properly. We've had our share of arguments, mostly over my PlayStation time versus quality time, but overall things were good. Last year, Emily gave birth to our son, Noah. He's 9 months old now, and I swear he looks exactly like her. Big blue eyes, little button nose, the same "I'm silently judging you" expression when he stares too long. Now, here's where my stupidity comes in. One night, my buddy Jason and I were drinking and joking around while watching a true crime show. It was one of those over-the-top dramatizations where the big twist was a DNA test proving someone wasn't the father. Jason, half a beer away from passing out, goes, "Dude, imagine if you did one of those paternity kits. Like, what if it came back and you weren't the dad? Wouldn't that be hilarious?" Normal people would laugh, say, "Yeah, whatever," and move on. Me? I opened Amazon. The thing is, I didn't actually think anything was suspicious. I had zero doubts about Emily. I just thought it would be a funny, harmless gag. Something to show Jason, maybe rib Emily about, and then forget. So, drunk me ordered a $90 at-home DNA kit. The setup. Fast forward a week. A discreet little box shows up in our mailbox. I hid it in my backpack so Emily wouldn't ask questions. Pro tip: never start a sentence with, "Babe, don't be mad." A couple days later, while Emily was at work and Noah was napping, I swabbed his little cheek, then mine. It felt dumb. Like I was sneaking around doing something sketchy even though there was no reason for it. I mailed it back. Didn't think much of it. The results? 2 weeks later, I get an email. "Your results are ready." I clicked it while standing in the kitchen, half laughing to myself. But the second I saw the words on the screen, my stomach dropped. Probability of paternity, 0%. I stared at it for a full minute, convinced I was reading it wrong. I refreshed. I logged out, logged back in. Same result. 0%. I felt like someone had sucker punched me. My legs literally went weak, and I had to sit down on the kitchen floor with my laptop still open, just staring at those two little numbers. My brain immediately went into overdrive. Did they mix up the samples? Did I mess up the swabbing somehow? Is this kit even accurate? But the one thought that kept screaming louder than all the others was, Emily cheated. The spiral. I didn't confront her that night. Or the next. Instead, I spiraled. I started replaying every little moment from the past 2 years. Times she came home late from work. Times she was glued to her phone. That random guy from her office she mentioned once, Ryan, with the stupid perfect jawline. Her words, not mine. None of it had ever bothered me before. Now, suddenly, everything looked suspicious. But here's the thing. I still loved her. I still loved Noah. Every time I looked at him, my chest ached because part of me wanted to believe the test was wrong. He felt like my son. Still, I couldn't ignore it. So, I ordered a second kit. A different brand this time. Just to be sure. The second blow. Waiting for that second result was torture. Every day, I'd look at Emily and wonder, does she know? Is she hiding something? I started pulling away without even realizing it. Less affectionate, distracted, avoiding eye contact. She noticed. Of course she noticed. One night she asked, "Are you okay? You've been weird lately." And like a coward, I just said I was stressed about work. She bought it, or at least pretended to. When the second result came back, I opened it at 2 a.m. while Emily and Noah were asleep. Probability of paternity, 0%. Again, that was the moment I knew it wasn't just some error. The confrontation, sort of. The next morning, I couldn't hold it in anymore. I didn't exactly plan a speech. It just came out. We were in the kitchen, Emily making coffee, Noah babbling in his high chair. And I just blurted, "Emily, is Noah mine?" She froze. The kind of freeze where your whole body locks up for a split second before you turn around. "What?" she said. "You heard me," I said, my voice shaking. "I did a DNA test. 2, actually. Both said I'm not his father." Her face went pale. She set the mug down so fast it sloshed over the counter. For a second, she didn't say anything. Then, finally, Why would you even do that?" She looked hurt and scared, which only made me angrier. "Don't turn this on me," I snapped. "Just tell me the truth. Did you cheat?" Her eyes filled with tears. She opened her mouth, closed it, then whispered, It's not what you think." Which is, of course, the absolute worst possible thing you can say in that situation. The bombshell. She sat down across from me, trembling. Noah kept banging his little toy spoon on the tray, totally oblivious while my entire world tilted sideways. "Please just listen," she said. "I was going to tell you, I swear. I didn't know how." My heart was pounding so hard I could barely hear her. "Tell me what?" I demanded. Emily took a deep breath, tears spilling down her cheeks. And then she said something I will never, ever forget. "Noah is mine, but he's not biologically yours, because you can't have biological children." End of part 1. Title: I took a paternity test as a joke, and I regret it. Part 2/3. So, if you've read part 1, you know where I left off, standing in my kitchen, shaking, while my girlfriend told me I couldn't have biological children. Not exactly the kind of sentence you just drop into breakfast conversation, right? I remember sitting there staring at her like she had just spoken in another language. "What are you talking about?" I asked. She was crying, trying to hold it together because Noah was watching. But finally she scooped him up, took him into the living room, put on Sesame Street, and came back to me. And that's when she unloaded the whole story. The backstory I never knew. According to Emily, about a year into our relationship, she found out from my mom that when I was a teenager I'd had a medical complication after a surgery that supposedly left me infertile. Here's the kicker. I didn't even know that myself. I had surgery when I was 15, testicular torsion, which is as painful as it sounds, and apparently the doctor told my parents there was a high likelihood I wouldn't be able to have kids naturally. Did they tell me? Nope. My mom apparently told Emily about it years later, during some wine-fueled, future family conversation when I wasn't around. According to Emily, she didn't bring it up because she assumed I already knew and just didn't want to talk about it. So, when we started trying for kids, she panicked. She claimed she didn't cheat. Instead, she went to a fertility clinic. Alone. Without telling me. And she used a sperm donor. My reaction. You know that feeling where you're so overwhelmed your brain just kind of flatlines? That's what happened to me. I sat there at the kitchen table, hands over my face, listening to her explain how she just wanted us to have the family we always talked about, and how she thought it would still be ours. She swore she was planning to tell me eventually, that she thought she had time, that she didn't want to break my heart with the infertility thing and the donor thing at the same time. But all I could think was, she made this massive decision about my life without me. The fight. I wish I could say I stayed calm. I didn't. I yelled. I accused her of lying by omission, of betraying me, of stealing my choice. Because that's how it felt. She cried harder. She kept saying, "You're his dad in every way that matters. Please don't do this. Please don't hate me." At one point, I slammed my hand on the counter so hard my coffee mug shattered. I wasn't aiming at her. I'd never, ever been violent toward her, but it scared her anyway. She grabbed Noah, and for the first time since I've known her, she looked at me like I was dangerous. That image is burned into my brain. The fallout. For the next week, things were tense. That's putting it lightly. We barely spoke. I slept on the couch. She took Noah to her mom's for a couple nights. When she came back, it was mostly to drop him off so I could still see him. I went from feeling like a dad to feeling like a babysitter who happened to live in the same house. And the worst part? I still loved him. I still loved Emily, too, in some messed up, angry way. But I couldn't reconcile what she did. Conversations with my parents. Eventually, I called my mom. The conversation went something like this. Me. "Why the hell didn't you ever tell me I might be infertile?" Mom, long pause. "I didn't want you to grow up feeling broken." Me. "So instead you just let my girlfriend tell me 30 years later." Mom. "I thought you knew by now. I thought the doctors would have followed up." I lost it on her. Years of bottled up resentment, even about unrelated stuff, came pouring out. I hung up shaking. Later, my dad texted me saying my mom was just trying to protect me. That word, protect, felt like poison. Because if this is what protection looks like, I don't want it. Therapy, sort of. I ended up talking to a buddy, not Jason. He's the idiot who suggested the test in the first place, so he's banned from having opinions. This friend had gone through a messy divorce and recommended a therapist. So I booked an appointment. Explaining everything to a total stranger felt surreal. "Hi, yeah, I'm here because I did a DNA test as a joke and now my whole life is a dumpster fire." But honestly, it helped. For the first time, I said out loud, "I feel like Noah isn't mine anymore." The therapist stopped me and asked, "Does DNA define fatherhood for you?" And I didn't have an answer. Emily sighed. A couple weeks later, Emily sat me down after Noah went to bed. She had this whole folder of paperwork from the fertility clinic, receipts, doctor notes, even the donor profile. She wasn't lying. It was all legitimate. The donor was some anonymous grad student, apparently. Blonde hair, blue eyes, healthy. That's why Noah looked so much like Emily, and not at all like me. She said she went through with it because she was terrified of losing me if I found out I was infertile. She thought giving us a child would make me happy, that I wouldn't care about biology once he was here. And here's the thing, a part of me understood that. She wasn't trying to hurt me. She was trying, in her own, horribly misguided way, to protect me. But that didn't erase the betrayal. The decision point. At this stage, I was stuck between two versions of myself. The angry, betrayed guy who wanted to walk away and never look back. The dad who kissed Noah's forehead every night and couldn't imagine not being in his life. I kept bouncing between them daily, hourly. I started Googling custody laws in my state, reading horror stories of men who raised kids only to find out later they had zero legal rights. The idea of some judge telling me I couldn't see Noah again? It made me sick. So, I quietly started looking into DNA and custody lawyers. Just in case. The breaking point. The real breaking point came one night after another fight with Emily. She said, "If you can't get past this, maybe we should take a break." The words hit me like a truck. Because I realized, if we took a break, I had no guarantee I'd ever see Noah again. That night, while she was asleep, I stood over his crib and just watched him breathe. His tiny chest rising and falling, his little fist curled around a stuffed giraffe. And all I could think was, I don't care what DNA says. He's mine. But even as I thought it, a little voice whispered, is he, though? Where I am now. So here's where things stand. Emily and I are technically still together, but we're hanging by a thread. I've met with a lawyer, but I haven't told her yet. I'm still in therapy, trying to figure out whether I can forgive her. And every day, Noah smiles at me like I'm his whole world, and it breaks me, because I don't know if I'll get to stay in his. The cliffhanger. A couple nights ago, I was scrolling through my email when I saw a message from the fertility clinic. It wasn't addressed to me, but to Emily. Somehow, it got forwarded to my inbox because we share a cloud account. The subject line? Important update regarding donor number 4627. I clicked it, and what I read inside made my blood run cold. Title: I took a paternity test as a joke, and I regret it. Part 3/3. Alright, buckle up, because this is the part where everything went from messy to nuclear-level chaos. Last time I left off, I had just opened an email about donor number 4627, the anonymous sperm donor that Emily used for Noah. The subject line said, Important update regarding donor number 4627. I thought maybe it was some routine clinic newsletter. Spoiler, it was not. The email. Here's what it said, roughly. I'm paraphrasing, but you get the idea. Dear recipient, we are contacting you regarding donor number 4627. Please be advised that the donor has recently been diagnosed with a genetic condition that may be hereditary. If you have conceived using this donor, we strongly recommend contacting your pediatrician for further evaluation. The email then listed the condition, something I'd never even heard of before, and gave a long list of symptoms, risks, and recommended testing for children. My blood went cold. I read it 3 times, then immediately Googled the condition. And let me tell you, that was a mistake. Google will convince you a hangnail is a death sentence, so imagine what happens when you search for an actual genetic disorder. By the time I closed the laptop, I was shaking. The confrontation round 2. The next morning, I showed Emily the email. She froze, then said quietly, I saw it too. You weren't going to tell me? I asked. I wanted to talk to the pediatrician first, she said, before panicking you. That answer didn't sit well with me, because at this point, secrecy was the theme of our relationship. Do you understand how this looks? I snapped. First the donor thing, now this? You just decide what I need to know and keep the rest a secret. I'm his father. I deserve to know everything. She burst into tears, insisting she wasn't trying to hide it, that she was scared, that she didn't want me to freak out. But I was already freaking out. The doctor's visit. We booked an appointment with Noah's pediatrician. Sitting in that waiting room felt like waiting for a court verdict. When the doctor finally came in, we handed her the email. She read it carefully, nodded, and said, Okay, let's not jump to conclusions. The condition is rare. We'll do some blood work, maybe a genetic panel. For now, Noah looks healthy. That should have been reassuring. It wasn't. Watching my baby boy get blood drawn was brutal. He screamed, and I had to hold him down while they stuck the needle in his tiny arm. He looked at me with those wide blue eyes, like, why are you letting them do this? And I swear, in that moment, I felt more like his dad than I ever had before. Because biology be damned, I would have taken that needle for him 1,000 times. The waiting game, again. While we waited for results, the tension between me and Emily hit a breaking point. We fought constantly. About the donor. About her secrecy. About whether we could ever rebuild trust. One night she asked, Do you even want to be with me anymore? And I didn't have an answer, which I guess was the answer. The lawyer. Remember how I quietly consulted a lawyer? Well, I went back. I told him everything, the donor, the email, the uncertainty about Noah's health. I asked the big, terrifying question. Do I even have rights here? The lawyer explained that in my state, if I'd been acting as Noah's father since birth, the court would likely consider me his presumed father. Translation: even without DNA, I could still fight for custody or visitation. But he also said Emily could contest it. That it would be messy, expensive, and brutal. I left his office with a folder full of legal jargon and a head full of dread. The test results. A week later, the doctor called. The genetic panel came back normal. No, it doesn't have the condition. I almost collapsed with relief. I cried harder than I'd cried in years. Emily cried too, clutching Noah like she'd never let go. For one brief moment, it felt like maybe we could move forward. But relief doesn't erase betrayal. The breaking conversation. A couple nights later, after Noah was asleep, I told Emily the truth. I love you, I said. But I don't think I can forgive you for what you did. She cried, begged, promised to go to counseling, to do whatever it took. But my mind was made up. It's not just about you lying, I said. It's about the fact that you made a life-altering decision for both of us without giving me a choice. That's not a partnership. That's control. She didn't argue. She just sat there sobbing, whispering, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. The next day, I packed a bag and moved into my brother's spare room. The custody battle, sort of. Here's where it gets complicated. I couldn't stomach the idea of leaving Noah completely. But I also couldn't live under the same roof as Emily anymore. So I filed paperwork for legal custody. Emily was furious at first, saying, He's not even biologically yours. That cut deep. Because she'd spent months telling me biology didn't matter, that I was his dad. In every way that counts. Now, suddenly, she wanted to use DNA against me. But once lawyers got involved, she backed down. Maybe she realized fighting me would hurt Noah more than it helped. We worked out an informal agreement. I get Noah 3 days a week, plus weekends. It's not perfect, but it means I still get to be his dad. Where things stand now. So, here's the reality. Emily and I are over. Officially. I'm renting a tiny apartment near her place, so I can see Noah easily. I'm still in therapy, still trying to untangle all the anger and grief. Noah is healthy, thank God. Every time he smiles at me, it feels like the universe giving me a second chance. Do I regret taking that stupid DNA test? Honestly, yes and no. Yes, because it blew up my life. No, because it forced the truth into the light, and now, at least, I know where I stand. I'm not Noah's biological father. But I am his dad. And nothing will ever change that. Final thoughts. If you're reading this because you're tempted to do a funny little DNA test, don't. Unless you're ready for the answers, good or bad. And if you're someone keeping a secret like Emily's, please, just tell the truth. Secrets rot relationships from the inside out. I don't know what the future holds. I don't know if I'll ever trust someone the same way again. But I do know this. When Noah calls me, Dada, and reaches up for me, that's all that matters. DNA be damned.